Okay, so students, now as I told you, today our topic we are discussing about the chemical equilibrium, and that is the continuation of the previous class. Okay, and our lecture number is 16. Yeah, today our lecture number is 16. Unit is 3, Group B, and the chapter name is chemical equilibrium. Yeah, so these are the some prerequisite knowledge that you must have at the course objective of our course. The course name is, the paper name is Basic Chemistry. All branches of diploma in engineering and technology, for them this basic chemistry they have, and the contact hour is 30. The prerequisite knowledge that you must have, that is the knowledge of chemistry up to 12 standard, and visualization and analytical approach towards the subject, that is necessary for this course. What are the course objective that we have? That is to apply the knowledge of chemical and physical properties and process in engineering field. The content of subject provides knowledge of engineering materials. Okay, so these are the some of the course objective that we have. Excuse me. So these are the some of the course outcome that we have for this paper, that is basic chemistry. That is, after completion of this topic, after completion of this paper, students can draw the atomic structure of different elements. They can represent the formation of molecules schematically. They are able to describe the mechanism of electrolysis. They can identify the properties of metal and alloys, which is related to the engineering applications. They can identify the properties of non-metallic materials, which is related to the engineering applications. They also they acquire the knowledge of softening treatment of the water in different industries, and also some of the basic organic compounds which actually we use in different types of industries, that also they can know. So these are the some of the course outcome that we have for our basic chemistry. uh, okay, so this is a lecture plan for the chemical equilibrium. Okay, yeah, so this is the main objective of the class. So today we will discuss about the Lass-Atelier principle, and also we will see how to prepare ammonia by Haber's process, or you can say. Okay, so these are the topics that we will discuss in our today's class. Yeah, so these are the some of the topics that already we have discussed in our previous class, and also these topic you must remember for our today's class also, as this is a continuation of the class. At least these are the some of the basic concept that you should have before before knowing the Lass-Atelier principle. Okay, so we have already discussed about the reversible irreversible reactions. We have discussed about the exothermic and endothermic reaction, and also the concept of chemical equilibrium also we have seen. What are the how chemical equilibrium, how we can define the chemical equilibrium, what do you mean by chemical equilibrium of a reaction, that also we have seen in our previous class. Okay, so this is the reversible and irreversible reaction. Generally chemical reactions are of two types. One is reversible, one is irreversible. Reversible reactions are denoted by this arrow. Okay, that is called by bidirectional harpoons, and the unidirectional by this unidirectional arrow we are expressing the irreversible reaction. Okay, reversible reaction, actually what are this reversible reaction? Reversible reaction means the while the forward direction reaction as well as the backward direction reaction is taking place simultaneously. And for irreversible reaction, what is irreversible reaction? Like if the reactant of colliding with each other and forming the product, uh, after formation of that product, the product from the product we cannot get the reactant again. So these type of these reactions are the unidirection reaction. Okay, so this is called by the irreversible reaction. Like combustion. Okay, combustion is one type of example of the unidirection reaction or irreversible reaction, right? Like if we are burning fuels like petrol, diesel, kerosene, or we are burning any type of hydrocarbons. What will happen after burning, after heating? What will happen? They will convert into the carbon dioxide and H2O. Now again, this carbon dioxide and H2O cannot combine with each other and cannot form this hydrocarbon again. So that is why it's called the irreversible reaction. These are the some of the examples of irreversible reaction. That is unidirection reaction. Only the reactant molecules will collide with each other and form the product, but from the product we cannot get the reactant again. This is irreversible reaction. Now one more thing, I have already told, before the reaction what will happen. First of all, the reactant molecule will there will be a collision between the reactant molecule. Okay, so after this collision they are getting the activation energy. This activation energy is very important. Okay, so because reaction means the breaking of the bond, right? So breaking of the bond, we require some of the energy, and that energy is provided by the activation energy. So after getting the activation energy from the collision, the reactant molecules will react and forming the product. Now this is the reversible reaction. Reversible reaction, as I told you, the forward direction reaction and backward direction reaction will take place at the same time if the rate constant is K1, and for this the backward reaction the rate constant is K2. So these are the some of the examples of the reversible reaction where we have the these are the examples. Okay, where the reactant molecules will form the product, and again the product, from the product we are getting the reactant molecules. Now next type of next reaction is divided into two, that is endothermic reaction and exothermic reaction. Endothermic reaction, you can see there are so many reactions where the heat is absorbed, and some of the reactions also we have where the heat is released. So for endothermic reaction the heat is absorbed, okay, and for exothermic reaction the heat is released. Exothermic, and for endothermic reaction we have to give some of the provide some of the energy. Why? Because look, for endothermic reaction the reactant internal energy and the product internal energy, okay, which one is bigger? The greater the product internal energy is higher than the reactant internal energy. That's why for taking place this reaction we have to give some of the energy, and that is why this reaction is defined as the endothermic reaction. And what is exothermic? Exothermic means you can see the reactant, this is the reactant internal energy and this is the internal energy of the product. So the internal energy of the product is less than the reactant internal energy. That is why what will happen, from this some of the energy after production, after the product formation, some of the energy will be released. That is called by the exothermic reaction. For exothermic reaction the delta H is negative, and for endothermic reaction the delta H is positive. Yeah, these are the some of the examples. Yeah, now next important concept, that is the chemical equilibrium. Okay, very important concept. Now what will happen for the reversible reaction? What we have seen, that the forward direction reaction and backward direction reaction is taking place at the same time. Now if the reaction will reach the chemical equilibrium, if the reaction is in equilibrium, that means the rate of the forward direction reaction is equals to the rate of the backward direction reaction. Understand? That means the rate of formation of the product and the rate of the dissociation of the product and formation of the reactant will be the same. That time we can say the reaction is in equilibrium. Okay, so this is the main concept of the chemical equilibrium. Okay, now this is the equilibrium constant. We can, if we have this type of reaction like A and B is our reactant and C and D is our product. Okay, so that time the equilibrium constant we can know, that is product multiplication of the product concentration divided by multiplication of the reactant concentration. Okay, so whatever the amount of the reactant, amount of the product we have taken, that will go into the power. You can see here C, concentration of C to the power C. What is C? Here C, that means this much amount we have taken for the C product, we have got for the C product. Okay, so this is the main equation of the equilibrium constant. If the reactant as well as the products are the gaseous molecule, then we can also this equilibrium constant also can be expressed by the partial pressures. Okay, so this will be the reaction equation, the same equation, that is the partial pressure of the multiplication of the partial pressure of the product divided by multiplication of the partial pressure of the reactant. Okay, so how whatever reactant, the amount of the reactant we have taken, so that will go to the power. Okay, so this is the total the equation of the equilibrium constant. If we consider the uh, if we consider the partial pressure of the molecules, gases. Yeah, so this is the equilibrium constant, or we have determined for different reactions. Okay, so from this portion you may have this type of question. You are given one reaction, and from that reaction you may determine the equilibrium constant. This type of question you may have from this portion. Yeah, this is multiple equilibria, and after all this is the Kp and Kc. What is the derive the relation between Kp and Kc? Very important question. Okay, so we have taken here the reaction, that is the from reactants are our A and B, both are gaseous, and from these gaseous molecules we have the C and D product, that is also gaseous form, and these are the partial pressures. So Kc equals to the concentration of the product concentration divided by the concentration of reactant. Kp equals to partial pressure of the concentration, partial pressure of the product divided by partial pressure of the reactant. Okay, now we know for the ideal gas, that is Pv equals to energy. So P equals to pressure equals to, that we know, N by V RT. N by V, that is we can replace, that is by C, that is this concentration. C is the concentration. Okay, yeah. So all the partial pressures can be now replaced by this concentration of A into RT, concentration of B into RT, concentration of C into RT, and concentration of D into RT. Okay, now in Kp equation, if we substitute all these values, then we will get Kp equals to Kc into RT delta N G. where delta Ng, what is this? That is total number of moles of gaseous product minus total number of moles of gaseous reactant. Hence, the relation between Kp and Kc is Kp equals to Kc into RT to the power delta Ng. So, this equation you may have this type of question, prove that Kp equals to Kc into RT delta Ng. So, that time you have to derive like this way. Okay. Yeah. So these are the some of the questions that you may have from this portion. Okay, now this is our today's equation, today's topic, that is Law-Sattler principle. So Law-Sattler principle, if we know, that time we can know what will be the direction of the flow of the reaction. It will go towards the forward direction reaction or backward direction reaction will followed. Okay, now according to this Law-Sattler principle, actually if we change some of the temperature or pressure or volume or concentration, so the reaction medium will change in such a way so that whatever we have changed, whatever we have we change the system, that will be minimized, that can be minimized. So this is called by the Law-Sattler principle. Okay, if a system at equilibrium is distributed by a change in temperature, pressure, or the concentration of one of the components, the system will shift its equilibrium position so as to counteract the effect of the disturbance. Whatever changes we have made, that can be minimized. So the reaction medium will change in such a way that change can be minimized. Okay. So changing of concentration or changing of temperature or changing of volume or pressure. Okay. So this is called Law-Sattler principle. Yeah. Now changes in concentration. Now we will see if we change the concentration of reactant or concentration of the product, what will be the effect on the reaction. Okay. The effect of concentration changes can be understood by considering the effect of change in reactant and product molecules collisions, or by solving the law of mass action. The effect of concentration changes can be determined qualitatively by inspection of the equilibrium expression or by calculating QC values for initial reactant and product concentration in the equilibrium expression. Generally, what we'll have and product concentration generally, like if this reaction, that is hydrogen, we have the hydrogen molecule, we have the iodine molecule. So hydrogen and iodine reacting with each other and forming the HI molecule, hydrogen iodide gas. Okay, now if we increase the amount of hydrogen. Okay, now what will happen if we increase the amount of hydrogen? That means, according to the Law-Sattler principle, the reaction medium will change itself in such a manner so that whatever changes we have done, that can be minimized. That means if we increase the concentration of hydrogen, that means the forward direction reaction will follow, and the higher amount of HI, hydrogen iodide, will be produced so that the increased amount of hydrogen can be reduced. Understand? Or if we increase the amount of or like if we add some of the HI in this equation, equilibrium. Okay, the reaction is in equilibrium, and in this we have added some of the HI. What will happen? The hydrogen iodide already we have in our reaction medium, and after addition of HI, what will happen? The amount of HI will be high. Now this amount will be should be minimized by the reaction medium. How? By what? By increase the rate of backward direction reaction. That means the more hydrogen iodide will dissociate into hydrogen and iodine, so that whatever amount we have added, whatever HI we have added, that can be minimized. So understand. So if we change the concentration of reactant, that means the forward direction reaction will follow. If we increase the amount of product, that means backward direction reaction will be followed, so that we can minimize the effect. The reaction can minimize the effect. Okay. Now changes is in volume and pressure. You have to very carefully you have to listen to this. Look, what will happen if we change the pressure? If look here, so this is the pressure. This is the pressure. So for which this is medium 1 and this is medium 2, for which case the pressure is higher? For this case the pressure is higher. Okay, so if the pressure will be higher, that means the volume will be very small, right? If the pressure will be lower, that means the volume will be higher. Understand? If we increase pressure means the volume, the space will be lower. That means for minimizing this effect, what will happen? The reaction will go towards that direction where the less number of molecules are producing. As because if we increase the pressure, the volume will lower. That means at that less volume, the very small amount of particles can be accommodated. Okay, so that is why if we increase the pressure, the volume will decrease, and thus the reaction will go towards that direction where the number of molecules will be less. Understand? Now look, if we decrease the pressure, what will happen? If we decrease the pressure, that means the volume will volume will higher. So in this higher volume, there may be the maximum number of molecules can accommodate in this higher volume. So to minimize this effect, the reaction will go towards that direction where the number of molecules will be higher. Understand? Now you can see this, if we consider this reaction. Look here, the calcium carbonate solid, this, right? The calcium carbonate, one molecule, from one molecule we are getting the two molecules, right? So if we increase, for this reaction, if we increase the pressure, so what will happen? In which direction the reaction will go? Obviously, the pressure increase means the volume less. That means the less number of particles can be accommodated into that less volume. That means the backward reaction will be followed. As because look here, follow backward reaction, that means from the two molecules we are having one molecule. So this backward reaction will be followed. That means calcium oxide and carbon dioxide will combine and it will form the calcium carbonate, so that whatever pressure we have added, that can be minimized. For this hydrogen and iodine, if we increase pressure again, what will happen? Look here, two molecules forming the two molecules. So there will be no change at all. This will be unaffected by the pressure change. So this is the Lass-Atelier principle. Okay, so this is again, you can see if we increase the pressure, that means volume will be less. That means less number of particles will can be there, and that is why the reaction where the molecules will be less, that direction reaction will be followed. For this case, you can see here two molecules will form the one molecule, right? So if we increase the pressure here, what will happen? The forward direction reaction will be followed. Why? Because in forward direction reaction, the molecules are less molecules we have. So that is why forward direction reaction will take place. Okay. Yeah. Now change in temperature. If we change the temperature, what will happen? We already know there are two types of reactions we have. One is exothermic reaction, one is endothermic reaction. Endothermic reaction, that means heat will be absorbed. Okay, for endothermic reaction we require some of the energy, and for exothermic reaction what will happen, heat will be released. Okay. Now look, if we increase the temperature for both cases, for endothermic as well as exothermic, what will happen? If we increase for endothermic reaction, as we require the energy, if we increase the temperature, what will happen? The forward direction reaction will be followed, as because to minimize the increased temperature. Understand? And for this exothermic reaction, what will happen? For this exothermic reaction, already the heat is released. Again we are increasing the temperature. Okay, again we are increasing the temperature. Already reaction medium is hot. Okay, again we are using some, providing some of the energy. What will happen? That time the backward reaction will be followed to minimize this high temperature, to minimize the effect of this high temperature. Understand? So that is why for exothermic reaction, if we increase the heat, that means the backward reaction will be followed, for which the energy will be absorbed, not released. Okay. As because for exothermic reaction, the in forward direction reaction we have the release of energy. Now again we are using some of the heat energy. So what will happen after all? The so the direction of the reaction will be like this, where the heat will be absorbed. That means the backward reaction will be followed. Yeah. So and the last is the effect of the catalyst. A catalyst affects only the speed of a reaction, the rate of the reaction. If we use a positive catalyst, that means the rate will increase. If we use a negative catalyst, the rate will be decrease. Okay. The catalyst has an equal effect on lowering the effect of forward or backward reaction. Okay. Okay, now we will discuss about the Haber-Bosch process for the manufacture of ammonia. Actually, Haber's process, how we were manufacturing this ammonia, that we will see, and also we will see what is we will apply the La-Sattler principle for um, attaining the maximum yield of this in this reaction. Okay. Haber-Bosch process, or just Haber process, is basically one of the most efficient and successful industrial procedure for the production of ammonia. Okay. In Haber process, the atmospheric nitrogen, what will happen? The atmospheric nitrogen, with the help of the hydrogen, it will form the ammonia. Okay, by reacting with the hydrogen. Here the metal catalyst we are using, and high temperature and pressure are also maintained. The raw materials for the process air, which supplies the nitrogen, and natural gas and water, which supply the hydrogen, and the energy needed to heat the reactant. Iron here we are using as a catalyst. Okay. So this is the Haber process. Next, the reaction, actually what will happen? The reaction is exothermic reaction. That means from this reaction, the release of energy we have, okay, release of heat we have, is favored by the high pressure and low temperature. That is why if we have the low temperature in our reaction medium, that means the yield will be high. in the commercial production of ammonia is continuously removed as it produced. Okay, so what will happen, ammonia, if we continuously remove the ammonia, what will happen, the deficiency of product in the reaction medium, and to minimize that effect, what will happen, the more reactant molecules, the more nitrogen and hydrogen molecules will reacting with each other and forming the more amount of ammonia. So that is why after the production of ammonia, the ammonia will be continuously removed as it is produced. Okay, so this is according to the La-Sattler principle. Okay, so this is all about the La-Sattler principle and all about the Haber process, and also we have seen the application of La-Sattler principle in the Haber process. Now for the quick review, I have given one question, that is, give one example of irreversible reaction. Okay, for that you have 10-second time, so your time starts now. You have to memorize whatever I have told you, and also you can remember in the previous classes whatever I have discussed. Yeah, your 10-second time is over, and you're absolutely right. The reaction is, that is the reaction is, that is any type of hydrocarbon if we combust, that means combustion of hydrocarbon in presence of oxygen, that will convert into the carbon dioxide and H2O, which is very much stable. And after formation of this carbon dioxide H2O, they are not combining at all to form the hydrocarbon again. So this is absolutely a perfect example of the irreversible reaction. Yeah, so this is the recapitulation. We have already seen the La-Sattler principle, and also we have seen how to manufacture the ammonia by the Haber's process. Also we have applied the La-Sattler principle in the Haber process. Okay, yeah, all checked. Now what you have to do, first of all you have to follow the class where regularly and perfectly, otherwise, and also you are given one assignment, so that assignment you have to submit in time. So please follow the classes, do the assignment and submit it in time. So thank you students, and see you in the next class.